Whatever you say, lady. Actually, I suppose that was the name of the visual novel. Huh. So, hello and welcome everybody to If My Heart Had Wings, or whatever that Japanese lady just said. So, in the last few weeks I've played a few visual novels for myself, and with a few I mean like two, but still. And I decided, man, you haven't let's played something in a long time. And right now we're still in a lockdown, so the bar underneath me is relatively quiet. So there is actually no reason to not do a let's play. Well, about this game, it's not actually made by Moe Novel, it's only, I suppose, translated and published in English by Moe Novel. But to be honest, I forgot the name of the Japanese company right now, so I had to look that up. I'll leave a link in the description below, as I always do with the game. I'm playing the Steam version, by the way, so unfortunately no nudity going on here. And yeah, let's jump right into the game. By the way, the reason why I decided to play this is because I read on Reddit that this game is apparently somewhat similar to Katawa Shoujo, in a sense that it's equally as good, or at least somewhat similar. So I only know that it's a dating sim. Unfortunately, or for the better, since I like to be surprised, I don't know anything else about it. So, let's see if it is really nearly as good as Katawa Shoujo. Because if you ever have seen a Let's Play of mine, I love Katawa Shoujo. The bicycle road race is known as a really harsh sport. Is that the background supposed to be like a bicycle? Sounds more like, I don't know, an old film. And maybe it is supposed to be an old film, because this is in black and white. Oh man, I don't know. The hill climb in the middle is hell too. While putting strain on every muscle in your body, you have to continue pedaling without any brakes to climb a steep hill. At that time, I always think, I can't do this anymore. I'll make this race my last. Even though I think that every time, in the end, I still take part in the next race. I've endured severe training so that I don't put my feet down halfway through the hill climb. Why do I do that? Because once I finish the hill climb, I'm waiting for my reward. That is satisfaction, a woman's love. Man, I don't know. Nothing compares to the feeling of cutting through the wind as I face down the downhill section at blistering speed. At that moment, I feel an incredible rush. Then I realize that I have forgotten about everything. The pain of the hill climb, the strain on every muscle in my body, and the days of hard practice. It's not a matter of whether I win or lose the race. I just enjoy it, and that's why I continue to ride. That's how it should have been. But you had an accident and landed in Yamaku. I'm sorry. Too much Katawa Shoujo nonsense. I still didn't have much life experience at that time, and it was something beyond my imagination. Suddenly, without warning, something was taken from me. I could also say, shut away, or lost. However, to directly express the emotion I felt at the time, taken is the word that fits best. So there was one thing that I learned. Life isn't all about having fun. I gained a lesson in life. The thing I lost was everything. I let myself get depressed about this, but I should have thought about it a little more. If something could be taken from me so abruptly, then something could be given to me just as suddenly. I guess somewhat true, but yeah, I'll judge when I know what the something given to him is, or the one taken. The wind blew, a gentle but strong wind. It would not be unreasonable to call it an encounter. What this could be the start of. What this could be the start of, Even now, there's still no way for me to know. I got to know of like a bunch of girls, and one of them was my destiny. The windmill is turning. People are overwhelmed just because of the size of such enormous things. This unnatural silhouette serves a function, but to those who don't know what it is, it would appear to be something very bizarre. I guess that is true for everything, basically, but okay. With so many lined up like this, it could be said to be even more overwhelming. But why is that? The sight of the white windmills lined up on the green hills somehow seemed so picturesque. Aoi. Is that me? I suppose. This is amazing. To think that something like this could be made. At the very least, 5 years ago, there was nothing here, just a wide open space. I heard they were going to build a large-scale renewable energy research facility. The cell phone in my pocket vibrated to tell me I had received a text. It's from Anchan. Who dat? I guess I'll learn. To Aoi. Did you arrive here already? Sorry I couldn't come to meet you. My name is written using a Chinese character read as Aoi. It's a difficult character and is often taken for Midori. Incidentally, whether it is Aoi or Midori, it is often mistaken for a girl's name, which causes a few problems. Actually, to be honest, up until now, the only time I ever heard someone being called Aoi, or Midori for that matter, is girls. But there are quite a few names in Japanese which spoke for both genders. I suppose one of the most famous examples being Akira. I'll quickly the English. Jesus goddamn. Good thing I didn't forget how to not be able to read. I'll quickly write a reply. I hardly ever use the text, so I find the key touch awkward to use. I got here a little too early, so I'm just going for a stroll. The windmills are amazing. Okay, sent. The reply came quickly. They're great, aren't they? It's the new famous spot of Kazigaura. Jesus, what a name. If you have any problems, contact me anytime. Anchan. Thank you, Anchan. As I sent the text, I sat down on the grass. This place is on the hillside, so from there I was able to gaze at the lake and the town that stretches across the opposite bank. By the way, the music, very majestic, I gotta say. I guess it makes sense because, you know, we're looking at the majestic landscape. But, Jesus, it seems like he just found El Dorado or something. The rapid redevelopment of the town of Kazigaura meant that the remnants of the old buildings from the Showa era are intermingled with the modern architecture. The view expresses both the past and the future at the same time. Yeah, that's actually very cool. I love that about Japan in general. Oh my god. A paper plane. Something white flitted. Flit? Never heard that word before. Something white flitted across my field of vision. For a moment it looked like one of the windmill blades had come flying off. But there's no way that could happen. Is it a paper airplane? I got up and headed down the slope to look for it. The paper airplane, gliding gently, eventually lost its momentum and descended. Gotcha! I ran ahead of it, did a small jump and caught it in midair. Where did this come from, flying from? Judging by direction, it had come from the top of the hill. At a time and a place like this, could there be someone here besides me? To be honest, I mean, I don't know the time, but the place, I mean, probably someone who works there. Like, I don't know. But I don't want to be too critical. I took the paper airplane with me as I climbed up the slope. Just as I was able to see the top. I gotta say, many animations in this visual novel. Although, of course, they look a bit outdated. To be honest, I forgot when this game was originally from. At what point it was developed or released or whatever. But it is quite a few years ago, as far as I remember. A sudden gust of strong wind blew the paper airplane out of my hand. Hey, wait! I chased after the paper airplane and ran up the slope. A paper airplane leading you to your destiny. Now that is what I call... I don't know what you call that. Cliché writing, but I don't hate it. Sometimes there are good reasons for clichés. I've said that before. Then, just as I finally caught it... I saw Nagisa. Oh, I'm full of references today. Although she doesn't look like Nagisa. There was someone on the top of the hill. Oh, you sit in a wheelchair. Was the flashback in the beginning from you, maybe? Not actually from our protagonist? Okay. It was a girl sitting in a wheelchair. By the way, am I the only one who thinks the proportions are somewhat wrong? Like the wheelchair looks gigantic. But maybe it's just me. Looking fleetingly into the distant sky, a sudden breeze blew her hair and she combed it back with her fingers. Against the background of the blue sky and windmills that spread across my view, the girl's black hair and white blouse looked incredible. It was all as if I was looking at a completed work of art. The girl noticed me. At first I thought I should make an excuse for why I was there. It was like I had stepped into her world without permission, and I started to feel guilty. She's not saying anything. Some guy had just suddenly appeared, so perhaps she's being cautious. To show her the reason why I had come here, I hailed out the airplane. Did you throw this? What the fuck was that noise? The moment she saw it, her facial expression stiffened. She looks like she's swelling up. Jesus. Suddenly, tears appeared in those delicate eyes. What? Master of words, I see. Just as I am. Just like I am. So, that's a protagonist you can identify with. The tears had welled up in the corners of her eyes. The tears that had welled up in the corners of her eyes came running straight down. As I watched, great big tears came rolling down her cheek. Hey! Without thinking, I walked up beside her. What's wrong? Do you hurt somewhere? As she shook her head, she touched the hand that I had unconsciously held out, as if she were clinging to it. Her hand was small and trembling. Oh, that is all she's saying. Okay. She gently squeezed my hand. It's okay now. I didn't even know what the situation was. However, as I answered, I squeezed her hand back. Ow! Ouch! Before I knew it, there was something like a chicken at my feet, and all of a sudden it started pecking me. Apparently in Japan, chicken quack. Interesting. Oh, it is a duck. I was already wondering. Ow, that hurts. What is this thing? Head, as it was called, or maybe hatto. I'll go with head. Calm down at her command. Oh, Jesus, this is the botan of this novel, huh? Is it a duck? Jesus. Why the fuck do I remember what this fucking pig was called? That's the real question. With a yellow beak and white feathers, it was a duck that looked like a chicken. For some reason, it was wearing a hat. I don't know, the girl seems pretty silent compared to the background musics. I may have to fix that in the next episode. I apologize if that is actually the case. Ah. So this is how surprising it is to be suddenly attacked by an animal. However, thanks to that, it looked like she had stopped crying. Is the towel okay? I don't carry a handkerchief around with me. As I said that, without waiting for her to reply, I took a hand towel out of my bag. Of course, it had been washed, so it was clean. Actually, I always got a towel with me too, but because I sweat like a motherfucker. So actually, I couldn't offer a lady a towel. Why were you crying? If it hurts somewhere. As she answered, she pointed to one of the wheels of her wheelchair. It had lost its air and had collapsed. You got a flat tire. That's a terrible thing to happen. Just a mere flat tire for her is like having her legs taken away. Don't you have a cell phone? What I personally wonder about is how do you get a flat tire in grass? And also, if wheelchair tires work like bike tires, they're not immediately like flat. Like the air leaves it slowly. But hey. And that is why you immediately start crying? I guess there's more to it. SOS? Oh, this. I opened up the paper airplane that I had in my hand. I'm in trouble. Someone help me. I'm on a windmill hill. So when someone arrived carrying the paper airplane, she felt relieved and started to cry. Now she was fine, but until just now, she was shaking. That must be how scared she was. Hold on a moment. The bag at my feet rustled as I rummaged around inside it. Whoops. I skipped something. How do I go back? Okay. When she saw the tools that I had taken out, she seemed confused. Would it be okay for you to get out for a moment? And she asks, why? I'm gonna fix it. You can't go anywhere if you have a flat tire, can you? Of course. Getting out of the wheelchair is not easy for her. What should I do? From the methods I'd seen on TV, the care workers do it by embracing them from the front. We both looked as though we'd imagined that situation and froze. Excuse me a moment. As I put my arms around her sides to her back, I suddenly lifted her up. Wow, she's so light. Because she was much lighter than I had expected, there was a bit too much momentum. Before she could grasp the situation, I put her down on the soft grass. I'll have it done soon, so hold on a moment. Oh, that is our protagonist. Interesting. Looks quite normal. I wonder... I don't know how long she's in a wheelchair, but I wonder at what point someone helping you out gets less awkward. I suppose at some point As everything does in life, doesn't it? They're made in the same way as bicycle tires. Now that I feel is like... I really don't know, but I feel like this is really not true. At least not for the wheelchairs I saw. I immediately started on the repairs. I guess if it has a hole, you can... But how do you get air back in it? Do you have like an air pump with you? Do you call that air pump in English? You do in German. She's behind me, so I can't see her expression, but I had a feeling I was being stared at with contempt. As I was quietly working, the duck was waddling around me and pecking at the soil. Is this duck your pet? Okay, so you're crazy. Housemates. I bet the duck has the same voice actor as Botan too. Do ducks recognize their own names? When he's called, he responds by turning around. Hey, he's pretty smart. I feel like I know the voice actress, but I always feel that. But it's so... there are really few voice actors I can actually pick out. Like, for example, who do you always recognize? I feel like I always recognize Daisuke Ono or Yoshitsugu Matsuoka. I feel I always recognize, or at least most of the time. But in general, I have a problem with that. As I looked at the duck, I saw her legs laid out on the grass in my field of vision. So she can't move them. There are a number of reasons why people need to use a wheelchair, but it looked like she had a disability in her legs. When I picked her up just now, her body stiffened up with surprise, but there was no strength at all in her legs. The duck returned from his little excursion. While walking around her, he would occasionally try to jump onto her lap. She said as she made him get down again. As I watched this exchange from the corner of my eye, I fixed the flat tire. That's not really the case, though. I sometimes carry them with me. By the way, am I the only one who feels disemboweled right now because he can't fix a tire? As she said that, she made a little sound as she stretched. Yeah, it is. The wind blows through here. 5 years ago, there were no windmills, though. I've just come back to this town. She directed her gaze something far away. Yeah. She suddenly looked down and seemed lonely, and strangely sad. There was an awkward silence as I continued working. The duck twisted its neck to look up at the sky. She was tempted to look up too. What's that? There was something floating in the air. It was crossing the lake and gradually getting closer. Another paper airplane. No. An airplane. What do you call those in English? Those who actually fly without a motor. At first I thought that it was a paper airplane. I gotta say I like this protagonist. He has common sense. He has tools. He repairs wheelchairs. He's a real man. Not like me. No, but actually, so far, likable protagonist. But it wasn't. It crossed the lake and eventually reached the air above the small hill where we were. An airplane? It's not paper. It's a real plane. But what is this? Its silhouette is much thinner than any plane I know, and the wings are really big. Oh, you just call it a glider. Cool.
間違いない。あれ、グライダーよ。
A glider? Have you never heard of a glider? I repeated the name as if to confirm it, and then looked to the sky once more. Apparently he really didn't he? Like, gliders are a really common thing in Germany. Maybe they aren't in Japan. With its big white wings and white silhouette, it reminded me somewhat of a seagull.
ほら、見て。旋回してる。綺麗ね。
The glider is continuing to turn leisurely above our heads. It's flying ever so slowly.
当然よ。水力がないんだもの。
Yeah, so you fucking tell me this dude knows how to repair a wheelchair but doesn't know a glider. I mean, maybe it really isn't a common thing in Japan, but like, if you're a mechanic, you know a glider, I feel like. As it proceeded slowly across the blue sky, it seemed to be floating rather than
あ
flying.
んな風に飛ぶんだ。
It looks like it would feel nice.
降りてきた。
The turning glider looks as if it had given up on rising and came down towards the top of our hill. I mean, it's not like it was coming down to land. It was just reducing its altitude. Why don't we try waving? They might notice us. She earnestly stretched out her hand and waved towards the white aircraft floating in the sky.
わわ。
You gotta wonder where they land if there is all this stuff around there though. But maybe there's like a small place. I don't know if the pilots noticed us or not. However, the wings reflected a gleaming light, and it really did look as if it was answering us, calling out to it. Now I get it. Then the glider turned its back to us and flew away, back to the other side of the lake, where it had come from.
ちょっと。
She mumbled sadly as she lowered her head. Her hand. Maybe also her head, we don't know. Intro? I feel like intro. Extend the little wings which fly in the sky highly. Do you hear the church bells ringing outside? If you do, I apologize. On the other hand, maybe it fits into the atmosphere. I don't know. Ancient Japanese city, church bells, you don't feel me? This feels like a good spot to stop, doesn't it? Well, let's stop and continue this next episode. So, thank you everybody for watching. To be honest, that's a very solid first episode, I think. Not because I'm so awesome, but actually because the visual novel seems really likable written, you know what I mean? Like, there's sometimes I play games and they don't really catch me right from the beginning. Like, for example, Moe Era didn't all that much, you know. But this one, pretty solid first episode. There seems to be a protagonist who uses his head, and the way it is written, I feel, is quite nice. I read on the Steam comments. For some reason, I didn't read a summary of the game, but I read the Steam comments about it. I read in the Steam comments that the translation is a bit iffy, but to be honest, I don't see it. Maybe it's because I'm a foreigner as well, and I also talk a bit iffy. But yeah, I enjoy it so far. I mean, didn't happen too much, but that was a very solid first impression of this game. So let's hope it goes on as solid as the first impression was. So once again, thank you everybody for watching, and if you feel like it, come back for the next episode. Bye bye.